Okay. I think we got it figured out. Fingers crossed. We got this figured out. Sorry for the delay, everybody. We had a couple technical difficulties, but I'm here with USANA athlete Nick Mayhugh. Nick, thanks for coming out here today and doing this Facebook Live with us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate you taking the time. But yeah, let's give everybody a few minutes. Looks like we got somebody from Malaysia on here, but let's give everybody a couple minutes. While we do that, just before we went live, we were actually chatting about video games, and you were talking about a camera used for live streaming. So you do live stream quite a bit? Are you a big time gamer?
Yeah, growing up, that's what I loved. I love playing video games. Me and my brother were just so competitive on the field. And then when we go home, we've been playing video games and just trying to beat one another. So I've kind of, in the whole quarantine way of life now, I've kind of re-sparked that love for video games. And when I'm not training, I try to play video games as much as I can. And then I can try to turn it into a live streaming thing to where I can build enough of an audience to then be able to do charity streams and sort of see it as a win-win when the money goes to a good cause, and then I'm having fun playing with some of my friends, other professional athletes that just enjoy video games just as much as I do.
So do you have a favorite cause right now, or you just support different causes?
Yeah, for right now, once I get, so there's like a process to be able to be, you have to submit an application to be partnered with Twitch to be able to accept donations and such. But from when hopefully I'm accepted to the Twitch partner program, then I'll be able to select a cause. But I mean, obviously, your guys' charity, I'm in the process of developing my own foundation, and then everything going on right now, I think that's another thing that I want to look into, is to be able to give back to everything that's going on right now in the world, which is just crazy.
So again, while we wait for a couple more people to jump on here, how has life changed for you in the last couple of months?
It's been pretty crazy, because I mean, I remember last year. Last year was such a historic and monumental year for myself, and also the U.S. soccer program for the Para 7-a-side national team. We had such a historical year, and myself personally having the honor to win Player of the Year, which was crazy for me to even be able to say that out loud. I'm honored to be able to have won that award, and then to be able to shift my focus to then train for track and field. Go from soccer to then train for track and field. I was training for the last probably 5.5, 6 months. I was training 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Sunday was my only day off, and I was just kind of getting after it. And then the day that they kind of shut down everything, the gym shut down, track shut down, everything just kind of shut down, and my entire life sort of shifted. And I needed to figure out and talk with those close to me and my team in my camp to kind of figure out what the best way to moving forward. And I've just kind of had to adjust, and it's been just kind of flipped 180. But I mean, I'm doing everything I can. And the good thing is that all athletes in the world are kind of in the same boat for the last couple of months. So it's been cool to sort of learn more about myself, learn more about other athletes, other coaches, how they're able to coach in different situations, how other athletes are able to train in different situations. I've spoken to a couple of other USANA athletes and what they're able to do. So it's been cool. It's definitely a learning experience nonetheless.
So was that a big bummer having the Paralympics push back another year?
In the grand scheme of things, obviously, I mean, I was so excited and just kind of, I felt like I was in the best shape of my life. I felt I was just on such a good track going forward. No pun intended, but I was just training so hard and in the right mindset. I was getting ready for it. But when I stepped back and kind of had a week or two to kind of think about it and go about it with the correct mindset, I mean, to be honest, it's the best case scenario for someone like me going from playing soccer my entire life, having it become second nature, and then sort of shifting my focus to track and field, it now gives me an extra year to train, to get faster, to get stronger, and to learn entirely about a sport that I know nothing about. And for the lack of a better word, I mean, I'm completely naked to the sport. But I try to look at everything with a positive outlook, and that's kind of what I'm trying to take away from it. Is now I have more time to train, more time to get better, more time to learn. So I mean, I'm all in for it.
So I want to dive into your story real quick, because one of the big reasons we partnered with you is, for one, you're a great guy, but two, your story's pretty incredible. I mean, when you were younger, you had this you had cerebral palsy, but you didn't know it, and you hit it really well. So you played most of your life with a disadvantage, and not even knowing you had this disadvantage. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I mean, it was my normal. I mean, I remember for as long as I can remember, I could always tell that my left side was different than my right. Everything was just sort of less than it was my right. I wasn't as strong on my left. I couldn't kick the ball as hard. When I walked with a slight limp in my left leg. My knee would hyperextend. Something as simple as eating or tying my shoes, I would just tie my shoes in a knot and tuck them in, because I couldn't tie them properly, because I couldn't move my fingers as well as I could my right. And it was just little things like that, little daily tasks that I figured out and I noticed. But when I complained about it, people would just say, "Oh, it's just your non-dominant hand, it's your non-dominant foot, it's normal,
Yeah.
you're young, you'll grow into it." And it just kind of got to the point where I got tired of hearing those things and kept being told no, and that no one believed that it was a thing. But as I got older, I realized that it wasn't that no one believed me. It was because I was so hyperactive. It was because I was so fast on the field. It was
Yeah.
because I was so athletic that they just didn't see. My parents, my brother, my coaches, no one really saw anything different, but I was the one feeling it. And so um, being able to grow up and play at the level that I did, it was just sort of, I had a chip on my shoulder, and I felt like I always had something to prove, because regardless, I always knew that it was going to come out medically sooner or later. I always had a feeling in the back of my mind that it was just going to come out, or I just didn't know what it was. And whenever I went to the doctors and kind of said, "Hey, like, I feel this isn't normal. Other kids my age are able to do this and I'm not." And the biggest thing I always say is, when I was in elementary school, I failed the recorder, the little plastic flute that you had to play. I can only play one song because I could only play with my right hand, because I couldn't use my left hand, because I couldn't feel the holes on the recorder. So that's sort of the biggest talking point that I always bring up when I speak publicly, is that I always failed the recorder. And I remember going into my principal's office and them actually sitting me down, because I was always a class clown, and them saying, "Hey, all we need you to do is play this one song so we can pass you." And I couldn't play it. And I remember pushing so hard on the hole on the recorder to where I had an indentation of the hole on my fingers. And I was like, "Hey, you guys see that, but I can't feel it. And I don't know why." And that was sort of like the tipping point of being able to like be like, "Hey, I know that there's something wrong. No one really believes me, so I'm just going to keep my head down, work as hard as I can, because I know no matter who is next to me, no one's going to work as hard as I am on or off the field." And so if I'm able to do everything that I can to put myself in the best position to be successful, then I will beat that person and be successful. And I've carried that mindset my entire life. And credit to my brother, who is probably my biggest role model and my best friend, and he's the one that sort of pushed me to get to where I am today. So shout out to him.
That's cool. That's insane. So was there ever a time that you felt like quitting or giving up?
Almost. There was too many times. I mean, I remember growing up, there were so many times that I was just so frustrated leaving a practice. There would be, coaches would say, "Hey," they would give us limitations and say, just to try to make us better, they would say, "Hey, everybody has unlimited touches. You can use both feet. Nick, you can only use your left foot. You have 2 touches. If you touch with your right or take more than 2 touches, you're running the rest of practice." And I remember there were trainings that I would come home crying, because I would be running the entire practice because I didn't have the muscle memory or the function to be able to
Yeah.
use my left foot. And then I would get home and be crying about it. And my brother would be like, "Hey, let's go outside." And he would set up cones outside in the street. and we would just do dribbling drills with just my left foot back and forth until the street lights came on, or until I just got fed up with it because I couldn't do it. And we just worked on it every single day until it sort of, I kind of felt like I had gotten good enough to where I was like okay with it. And then as soon as we kind of got to another level, we would just push it to another thing. Like, okay, we did this, now what's next? I mean, that's kind of, I mean, there were so many times that I just wanted to quit. And especially after I had my grand mal seizure and I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was 14, I was a freshman in high school. And that's when the neurologist actually told me that she didn't think I would ever be able to play soccer again. She looked at my MRI and saw the dead spot on my right side of my brain, and told me that she didn't think I would be able to play soccer again. And I mean, I'll never forget that. And I mean, I knew that wasn't going to be true. And I've kind of always had that ingrained in my head. And I'll never forget that moment when she told me that. And the coaches that told me that I wouldn't be able to play at a Division I university. And then when I got there, I mean, there were so many times I wanted to quit there. And I mean, I've just kind of always taken every moment of, hey, I want to quit, hey, I want to give up, and then kind of sat back and think, hey, why are you doing this? Why have you gotten this far? And I always go back to my roots and go back to the basics of everything. And I just keep trying to push on and figure out what's next, because everything that people have told me I haven't done, I've done it. And now it's just what's next.
So is it that drive to make yourself better, or more of a drive of just proving people wrong? What is it that pushes you forward?
I think it's just my mentality of never being comfortable with mediocrity. I mean, personally, I'm never satisfied with anything. I mean, after everything that I've quote unquote achieved so far in my career, to a certain extent, I'm not satisfied with it. I don't see it as, oh, I've done this. I haven't, I mean, there's probably been one or two times in my life that I've kind of sat back and been like, okay, cool, like I did that. That's kind of cool. Or after I won Player of the Year, that was probably the only time that I've kind of been like, oh, wow, like being congratulated by so many people and just kind of having that sort of recognition was like, wow, like, thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. Thank you. But I mean, I don't really, those things don't really affect me. I don't really, I mean, is the team the number one team in the world? No. Are we the number one program in the world? No. I mean, there's things that are yet to be done. And that's kind of how I always look at it. It's just, I want to be the best athlete I can be. I want to be the best teammate I can be. I want to leave my mark on Team USA sports, whether it be soccer or track and field. I want to make the program and the sport better than it was when I arrived. And I mean, that's my drive. That's kind of what the personal accolades and the achievements are one thing. And that's cool to look back when you're all said and done. But I mean, a job isn't done. And so, I mean, I've always just kind of been like, what's next? What more can I do? What extent can I push myself to be? And just kind of trying to get everything out of myself, because after it was all said and done, I'm a human being first. And not only do I want to be the best athlete I can be when I'm retired, when I'm done, but I want to be the best person I can be. So, I mean, it's just a constant hunger and just never being satisfied with what I've been able to do.
That's a cool story, man. That's awesome. So we want to answer your guys' questions. So if anybody's watching this right now live, you guys have any questions for Nick, feel free to throw them out in the comments, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. We've got probably about five minutes left. So yeah, we want to hear from you guys.
Absolutely.
But while we wait for a couple questions to come in, one question I know a lot of people are probably thinking who are watching this is, what is your favorite USANA product? What do you use every single day?
Without a doubt, the Pure Rest. The Pure Rest. I mean, I take seizure medication to prevent my seizures, obviously. So I've always had trouble sleeping ever since I can remember. So being able to take Pure Rest, I mean, I've taken melatonin, I've taken other things in the past that have sort of helped me maybe 1 day, 2 days a week. But ever since I started taking Pure Rest, no lie, I've had the best rest of my entire life. I mean, I go to sleep perfectly, and then I wake up just ready to go. I mean, I have such a sound sleep when I take Pure Rest, and that's definitely without a doubt my favorite.
Yeah, that's a really popular product with a lot of our athletes. So here's a good question from Barb. she wants to know who's your biggest mentor. I mean, you touched a little bit on that.
Mhm.
Is it your brother?
I would say my biggest mentor is definitely my brother, Thomas. He's the one that kind of has just been there for me throughout my entire time. But I mean, there have been so many. I mean, he's probably the one I kind of lean on the most. But then also just I mean, I have family first tattooed on me, and it's just my entire family, my mom, my dad. They're the ones that have been with me my entire life, and they're the ones that have always believed that I can do anything I set my mind to. And they're kind of they're just like a three-headed monster of people that I can lean on, that I love, that I kind of go to whenever I'm and having any type of problem, and they're the ones to kind of motivate me to and give me the support, to be able to achieve anything that I want to. So it's definitely just the three-headed monster of my family. They're my biggest mentors, role models, and my best friends.
Yeah. Nice. Chris, what's up, Chris? He has a question. He wants to know, what's your biggest struggle?
My biggest struggle is probably, um, aside my medical issues, I would say just staying positive, having a positive outlook on everything, especially in the times that we're in right now, with everything going on in quarantine, Corona, and everything going on with just humanity right now. It's hard to kind of step back and kind of keep a positive outlook on everything going on right now. And I've sort of taken the quarantine especially as a time to reset mentally and just kind of get back to myself, just not as an athlete, just as a human, and just what makes me happy, what makes people in my life happy that I do, and just kind of resetting, just kind of trying to go back to where I was when I was just the happiest, and just kind of
Yeah.
keeping a positive outlook on life in general. I mean, that's the biggest thing, regardless of being an athlete or just a family member or anything. It's just your own mental health is just such a big thing, and just being healthy and happy is just the biggest thing
Yeah.
that people neglect, you know?
Well, and I think it's easy for people to forget that, as an elite athlete, you're still a human and you still go through a lot of struggles. I mean, the
Yeah.
same struggles that everybody else goes through. You've just
Mhm.
found a way that works for yourself to overcome the doubts, or to get through the doubts, or,
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
stay
that's a big.
self-disciplined.
I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of, especially with the more with high level elite athletes, a lot of fans, a lot of people don't see them as humans. They see them as just sort of robots that are there to entertain and do their job, and that's it. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to entertain. We're here to do our job, and that's what we get paid to do. But we still go home to our families. We still go home and lay our head on our pillow and go to sleep just like everybody else. And we have our own, as soon as we get home and the door closes, we still have our own personal problems to deal with. And I mean, that's the biggest piece to it, is that you just kind of have to find a way that works for you, and figure it out. And I mean, it's the biggest struggle, but there's definitely, and then there's
Yeah.
things like pure rest and things to help me deal with it. So I'm good.
There you go. So here's another good question from Debbie. How were you introduced to the USANA products? How'd you find out about USANA?
It was actually through my coach, Justin Kavanaugh. He's the one I'm training. He's the head of my track and field training. He's the one that actually introduced me to the products. He had asked me when I first started training with him if I was taking any vitamins, any supplements, and at the time I wasn't. And when I started training with him, he recommended them. And as soon as I started taking the product, after just a couple of weeks, I started to feel a lot better, a lot just like different and more ready, and just throughout the day I just felt better. My recovery was better, everything was just enhanced, and I just was taking better care of my body. And USANA was leading the way, so he's the one that introduced me to it. And I've been using USANA probably for a little over a year to a year and a half now. So I've just now it's just a common thing. This is my new normal. This is what I mean, there's not a day, there's not a trip that I go on that I don't take my USANA Go packs, and or sport packs, and my health packs, everything that I take with me, Pure Rest especially. And I mean, you guys just make it so easy for me to feel my best, to be the best athlete I can be. So thank you to USANA.
So I lost the question, but so I don't know who it was from, but somebody wants to know if you use Celavive, or if you've tried the USANA Celavive.
I have not had the chance to yet. No, I haven't.
All right, I'll get
Um,
you some. I'll get you some because I
Please
think you'll
do.
love
I
it.
haven't had. Thank you.
So
I haven't had the chance to yet.
Perfect. One last question. What makes you stand out from other athletes in your opinion?
I would say just my mindset of how of what I want, the type of athlete I want to be and the type of legacy that I want to leave. I think I do a really good job of giving myself giving all of myself to what I want to do and kind of putting myself in the best position to be successful and having a circle around me that truly believes that I can do what I set out to do. I mean, I keep my circle really tight. I keep my circle really small, and the people I hold closest to me have the same exact mindset as me. And I think they just push me to be a different kind of. They know what they need to do to get me to that next level, to be able to do what I need to do. And I think my mindset, my work ethic, and just the type of teammate I want to be inside the locker room and on the field, and just the type of person I want to be off the field to all the other athletes. I mean, I think that sets me apart from. I have other athletes that sort of kind of go through the motions or kind of do what they think is enough. And I'm kind of just hungry to always, there's always something more you can do. There's always something extra on and off the field. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that sets me apart from other athletes.
So last question, we'll wrap it up. If there's any advice you could give to anybody watching this to kind of help them be better, whether it's just a little bit better, just something small they could do every single day to really help improve their life, what would the advice be?
I would say just to know that it's okay to not be okay. The biggest thing with me, and for a long time after I got diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was 14, and I was told I would never be able to play soccer again, and soccer was my entire life. And for a while, I was very depressed. I was very sad, and I just didn't really know how to deal with it. One, because I was so young, but two, because I was so scared. I didn't want anybody to know. I was embarrassed, and I was just a stubborn, ignorant child, and I just didn't know. And what I've grown to learn is it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to kind of be vulnerable. I mean, people are so against sort of opening up and talking about things because they see it as a weakness. And but until you deal with those things, until you become vulnerable enough to be able to talk about it, you won't be able to grow from it. And that's the biggest thing. Is now I've been open to talk about it. I speak about it a lot when I go and publicly speak places, and I've seen the positive change that it has on other people's lives as well as my own. And I've been able to kind of step back and better my life because of it, because I know nobody's perfect. Everybody has a bad day, has a bad tournament, has a bad track meet. And there's just, nobody's perfect. Everyone has bad things going on. So it's okay to not be okay. And the earlier you figure that out and are able to deal with it in your own way, I think the better your life will be.
Dude, that's great advice. Nick, really appreciate you taking the time here to do this
Thank you very much.
this Facebook Live. I know your life is still busy, even during the quarantine. So thanks for the USANA support and USANA love, and helping us making the healthiest family on earth.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate all the love and everything you guys do for me. And I can't wait to be a part of the family for a long, long time.
Awesome. Thanks.